Sometimes a single court order or headline can make immigrants feel uncertain about what the future holds. Many people around the world dream of building a life in the United States, a place where laws, rights, and opportunities can offer stability. But when those laws are challenged in court, or when government agencies and judges disagree, it can leave families wondering what it all means for them.
If you've ever felt confused by legal news or worried that one ruling could change everything, you're not alone. Today, we're going to walk through a recent federal court dispute in a simple, step-by-step way. Not to take sides, but to help you understand how the American legal system works, especially when it comes to immigration enforcement and the balance of power between the branches of government. This is a story about how a judge in Chicago and federal immigration officials disagreed, how that disagreement reached the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit, and what it teaches us about the limits and responsibilities of each branch of government. Our goal is not to praise or criticize anyone, but to help you understand the legal principles behind the story, principles that affect how immigration laws are enforced across the country. Let's begin with what happened. In Chicago, a case involving immigration enforcement came before a federal district court. At one point in the case, the judge issued an order requiring a senior immigration official to report to her courtroom every weekday at 5:45 p.m. to give updates about enforcement activities. This was not based on a request from the people who filed the lawsuit. Instead, it was something the judge required on her own after watching some videos that raised concerns for her. Federal immigration officials felt this went too far. They believed the order pulled an executive branch officer away from his daily responsibilities. More importantly, they argued that the judge's actions crossed the line separating the judicial branch from the executive branch. In the United States, that separation is a foundational rule. It helps make sure no single branch controls the others. So the federal government asked the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit to step in using something called a writ of mandamus. This is a very rare legal tool. It is used only when a lower court's actions might cause serious, immediate problems that can't wait until the end of the case. Mandamus essentially means, higher court, please correct this right now. The Seventh Circuit reviewed the situation and agreed that the district judge's order exceeded her authority. The appeals court explained that requiring an executive officer to appear daily placed the judge in a supervisory role that did not fit within the judicial branch's powers. Courts interpret laws. They decide disputes. They do not manage daily operations of immigration enforcement. The judges noted that the order unintentionally placed the lower court in the position of monitoring the executive branch instead of remaining a neutral decision-maker. That, they said, is why the separation of powers exists, to prevent any branch from overreaching, even with good intentions. This case became an example of how checks and balances work in the United States. No single branch decides everything. When a judge oversteps, the appellate courts can correct it. When the executive branch oversteps, courts can step in as well. It is a two-way system designed to protect fairness, stability, and the rule of law. But what does all of this mean for immigrants watching from the outside? It means the system is designed to prevent sudden, unchecked changes. Immigration enforcement, visa processing, court supervision, and policy decisions all operate within a structure that limits power and requires accountability. That structure may feel slow or frustrating, but it also protects your rights. It means no single official, agency, or judge can decide the future alone. For example, when the executive branch enforces immigration laws, it must follow the Constitution. When courts issue orders, they too must remain within their constitutional boundaries. And when disagreements happen, as they did here, higher courts step in to restore balance. This case also highlights how complicated immigration enforcement can be.
Officers must follow federal law while also working within communities that may have their own policies or concerns. Judges must ensure the law is applied fairly while also avoiding involvement in day-to-day enforcement. And the public must be able to trust that neither branch is overstepping its authority. For immigrants, understanding these principles can reduce fear. If you hear breaking news about court actions or disputes between government officials, remember, disagreements do not mean instability. They are part of how the system protects constitutional limits. When one branch goes too far, another one steps in. That is how the United States prevents sudden shifts in rights and responsibilities. It keeps immigration enforcement tied to law, not to individual preference. Let's also look at the key legal idea here, the separation of powers. It's one of the oldest principles in American government. The legislative branch writes the laws. The executive branch enforces the laws. The judicial branch interprets the laws. When a judge begins supervising executive officers directly, even with the purpose of ensuring compliance, it can blur the lines. And when those boundaries are blurred, it risks creating pressure or confusion that affects real people, officers, communities, and immigrants who rely on consistent enforcement. That is why the appeals court stepped in, not to take sides, but to restore clarity. They emphasized that courts should remain neutral, not investigative or supervisory. And they noted that requiring a federal officer to appear daily in court would prevent him from performing his regular duties, including those related to immigration enforcement. The decision reminds us that balance is essential, even when issues are emotional or complex. Even when people strongly disagree, the United States relies on a system designed to protect fairness for everyone. This is especially important in immigration, where small decisions can affect families, communities, and livelihoods. When the branches of government follow their limits, the system functions more predictably. That predictability helps immigrants plan, seek guidance, and understand the laws that affect their futures. As we end this explanation, remember this: staying informed is one of the strongest tools you can have. Laws change, policies shift, courts make decisions that shape how the system works. But by learning how the process operates and why each branch has boundaries, you protect yourself from confusion and fear. If you want more updates like this, explained clearly and without political bias, please subscribe to Legal Focus USA. We're here to help you stay informed, stay prepared, and stay confident as you navigate life in the United States.